Okay, guys, so I just started reading the second book of Baruch, which is a last days gem. Everybody should be reading this book. I haven't touched this book in a few years, and oh my goodness, man. Chapter 4 is I just got hit with a flood of revelation and all the stuff I've been learning lately. Maybe I should be marinating it a little. But in context, okay, Jerusalem is being taken into captivity, and this is a shadow of things to come, okay? We're going to be scattered. Assyria is going to come into our land, perhaps, and those, why it's really important to stay and live by biblical values, because we'll be protected. Okay. So while the temple is going to be destroyed, Baruch calls to God. Yahuwah said to me, "This city shall be delivered for a time, and the people shall be chastened during a time, and the world will not be given over to oblivion. Do you think that this is the city of which I said, on the palms of my hand have I graven you?" Okay, guys, the last video I literally just uploaded. In that PDF, what we just read in the book of the Cave of Treasures, Adam was taken from the palm of God's hand. Fire, water, wind, all the elements in the palm of his hand. So this stuff is truth, okay? Now, we're not talking about Adam here. We're talking about the Garden of Eden. And what we're going to be revealed is that the Garden of Eden is really going to be our church. That's going to come down from heaven. Okay, it's paradise. This is where we go after we die, and it's going to come down from heaven. And check it out. This building now in your midst is not that which I revealed with me, that was prepared beforehand from the time when I took counsel to make paradise and showed it to Adam before he sinned. But when he transgressed the commandment, it was removed from him. Okay, bear with me, guys, because look on the internet, 2 Baruch chapter 4, because wait, here we go. Right when I'm on a roll, I have to make a convulsion. Okay. Here's what I'm trying to get to. Remember the book of the Order of Enoch? The Order of the Ancients, the Church of the Firstborn, okay? All the stuff we read about in our Bibles, okay? David wrote about this in Psalm 74, verse 2. Remember, okay, the Garden of Eden is the Church of the Firstborn. The Garden of Eden, remember the Gospel of Thomas yesterday, go to James the Just. He's the head of the church. For his sake, heaven and earth were created, because God ordained this, knowing Adam and Eve would sin beforehand. And the Garden of Eden is actually the church that's going to the New Jerusalem that's going to come down from heaven at the end of the book of Revelation, the end from the beginning. Okay, so this Order of Enoch that we read about, the called out assembly, Order of the Ancients, Firstborn Church that we read about in the book of Hebrews, it all has the same name, Order of Melchizedek. It's all a shadow and a structure of what's to come, okay, for way after flesh is over with, way after the millennial reign, when the New Jerusalem comes down from heaven and earth, and that's going to be the Garden of Eden, which was from the beginning. So I just want to urge you guys to read 2 Baruch chapter 4. This also confirms stuff that I've been, juggling in my studies. He says he showed it to Adam after he transgressed. Now check this out. After these things, I showed it to my servant Abraham by night among the portions of the victims. Okay? This is among the portions of the victims. This must be the stars, because stars are angels awaiting judgment, whether good or bad. See Jubilees 12:16 through 19. Okay. Here we are in Jubilees 12:16 through 19. And this confirms something I've been looking at in my studies. I know there's shadows and you can't see this, but God favored Abraham because Abraham sought him out. And I believe when we read the text, Abraham sought him out in the stars, that the gospel is written in the stars. This is a knowledge is lost today. But this, what we just read in 2 Baruch 4, I showed it to my servant Abraham. I believe he's talking about amongst the stars. Now, when you compare Jubilees chapter 12, 16 through 19, and go to the Apocalypse of Abraham, chapter 9, we can confirm that Abraham was searching Yahuwah out in the stars. He would just sit alone at night and ponder in the stars. And because there was there was knowledge back then that's lost today. So that just confirms it. Very amazing. Things that I've been theorizing, and it just confirms. And it says, he showed Moses the Garden of Eden when he was on Sinai, etc., etc. So that's the deal. That's the deal with this order of Enoch, that a lot of people saying all these rules, like, it's too religious and all that stuff. No, it's just, we're not saved by those rules. It's just here to anchor our faith until the time of judgment. And when we read this stuff in the Dead Sea Scrolls, this order of Enoch, this order of Elijah, became corrupted. Exactly why Jesus came. When you start reading the community rule, the Damascus document and the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's the same thing, the Acts 2 church, but now there's all these man-made laws and rules in there that Jesus eventually came up against. So by the time of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we had scribes and Pharisees corrupting this order of Enoch and stuff like that. And that's why I think that book came into my life, because, it's just a shadow of the Garden of Eden. I don't have this on me right now, but this is confirmed in the writings of Abraham as well. I covered this. I don't have the verse and the chapter number. But in the book of Cave of Treasures, what we're talking about is confirmed here. The symbolism of Eden is the church. Let me read it. My phone is just fading. Nothing works. Every time I need something to work, nothing works. My phone is just fading to black. I can't even see my screen. Let me just read a portion of this. The symbolism of Eden. Now, Eden is the holy church, and the church is the compassion of God, which he has about to extend to the children of men. For God, according to his foreknowledge, knew that Satan had devised against Adam. Therefore, he set Adam before the bosom of his compassion, even as the blessed David concerning him in the Psalm says. All right, when you look up the book of Cave of Treasures, Symbolism of Eden, it's the first Symbolism of Eden. It's the first couple chapters. And it's all confirmed. The writings of Abraham confirm this too, that the church of the firstborn is the Garden of Eden. So this is truth, guys. So the Acts 2 church is just a shadow of the order of Enoch. It's the order of Melchizedek. It's just these things that are passed down throughout generations to hold on to our traditions, so we don't walk away from the faith, and we don't get deceived by Belial, because we're living in Satan's domain right now. So in ancient times, they all separated themselves, lived in their own communities, to not defile themselves. And this kind of thing is lost in our day. We can't really conceive of that. We just say it's too religious, but no. And that's why Jesus came, because the Acts 2 church has been corrupted in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's where John the Baptist came from. He came from those communities, but it was corrupted with these man-made laws, like you don't do this, you go to prison, and all this crazy stuff. But that book of the prophet Elijah, I think was when it was still kind of pure and holy back in Elijah's day. Really amazing, guys. Really amazing. All right, I know I'm rambling. I pray this is a blessing. Check it out, guys. Look this stuff up. Book of the Cave of Treasures, 2 Baruch chapter 4. All right, y'all bless you.